Saints Falcons preview, ladies and gentlemen. All right, it is here. Okay, the bye week's over. It's time to talk Saints Falcons. We'll be previewing this all week long. I want to make this real clear. Okay, this Saints Falcons game could not be any bigger for the New Orleans Saints. I'll tell you that right now. I'm going to tell you that right now on a Tuesday morning. Now, the entire internet is down while I'm trying to do this video, but we persevere. So I don't have all the graphs and whatnot, but I would like to show you. But this is the classic example of two teams going in completely different directions. All right. The Falcons have lost whatever it is, five in a row, something like that. Got swept by the Panthers. Okay. Gave up almost 500 yards passing to Bryce Young. By the way, go look at that ADOT. Bryce Young had like a 6 ADOT. Threw for 500 yards, 450 yards. It's almost impossible, okay? The Falcons traded next year's first-round pick to shore up their defense last year, LOL. They, think about the decisions from Terry Fontenot and the brass up in Atlanta. You interview Mike McDonald, Mike Vrabel, Jim Harbaugh, and Ben Johnson, and there was talks with Bill Belichick too. Well, I don't know how real all that was, and you come away with Raheem Morris. Can't coach. No, he can't coach. Okay? Top 10 pick. You take Michael Penix. You got Kirk Cousins sitting behind you for $50 million a year. Kyle Pitts situation. This has been as bad of a job, or as bad as multiple decisions have been in a row in the NFL. And now the Falcons are in total flux. Okay? Penix, unfortunately, injured. Never want to see a guy injured. I don't care what team you root for. Heading to the injured reserve. He's had knee issues in college. Now he's aggravated a bone bruise and has a knee sprain, some damage to the ACL. We'll see what happens, but he's done for the year. Drake London, has a PCL sprain, so he's out this week. We'll see how long he's out. And also with Kirk Cousins, Drake London doesn't fare well. Okay, Cousins looked old when he came in relief. Looks like there's just nothing left on the arm. We'll see. But he's a statue back there, a worse version of Joe Flacco for about 20x the money. Now, this is way bigger for a Saints fan than just Falcons week or whatever, Falcons hate week, or I want to beat the Falcons, or we just got to win this game, whatever. This is a seismic shift, or could be a seismic shift in the season. Saints coming off of a great win, go into a bye week. We've talked about it a million times. The Falcons go play in Germany, okay, lose in overtime. Then they go to Carolina, no bye week. Or they play Carolina, no bye week. Go to overtime, lose. Then no bye week. They got to go on the road and play the Saints. That's already an insane schedule. Then you throw into it, they're on their backup quarterback and their number one wide receiver's out, with the Saints sitting there on a bye week. I mean, you cannot find a worse situational spot than that. Okay. Now, the odds have already moved. The Saints were 2.5-point dogs at home. They're now all the way to a point favorite. I'm sure that'll keep moving. My condolences if you didn't get the +1.5 or +2 or plus whatever. Got to be watching the odds. And here's why it's such a big deal for the Saints. Imagine, okay, the Falcons coming to town. Dome is rocking. High momentum coming off of a win, in Carolina in the bye week. Crowd is fired up. Crowd's pumped up. They're going to be in full throat. Pause. If you roll Atlanta at home, you've won 2 games in 3 weeks. You beat your biggest rival. You've won your last 2 divisional games. Tyler Shough at that point will have a 2-game win. She'll be 2-1 as a starter. Everything's right in front of you there, okay? Everything's right in front of you. And just that win alone I can tell you just from being in New Orleans, being the face of the franchise, being the best in the business, just that win alone, I think would validate Kellen Moore, Tyler Shough, the whole thing for the fan base. I think that win would catapult the fan base to saying, all right, I'm all in. I'm all in on this. I'm all in on Tyler Shough. I'm all in on Kellen Moore. I don't want to hear nothing about nothing. This is the team. I'm moving forward. I'm feeling good. That's what I think would happen, especially if it was a rout, especially if it was just an absolute, explosion. 35-6, just something, just a beatdown. I think the city would just erupt. I think the city would just turn up to a different level. Now, anytime there's two situations, you got to talk about it, right? Or two possibilities. If they lose, and this is why I think it's basically the Super Bowl for the Saints. If the Saints lose this game, with as bad of a situation the Falcons are in, as bad of a schedule, coming off of the bye week, the Falcons on Kirk Cousins, Drake London's not there. I'm not going to lie, I will really have to look in, I will have to stare into the mirror and figure out what's going on. This is a game you cannot drop if you're the Saints. By far the most important possible situation. Weakened Falcons team. You got extra time to prep. They got nothing. You're at home. It's Tyler Shough's third start. I mean, think about just the prep, okay? Think about the prep for two teams. The Saints have been preparing for this game the second they got back from Carolina. The Falcons, not only have they not been preparing for this game for the same amount of time, but now they're trying to get Kirk Cousins up to speed while preparing for this game, and they're trying to juggle the wide receiver room while trying to prepare for this game. Raheem Morris knows he's getting fired. I'm shocked he hasn't been fired. I would have bet anything he got fired. He would have got fired Monday. And y'all remember last week I said if Atlanta loses to Carolina, they'll probably have a new quarterback, new coach. Now I thought it'd be a different situation, not for the coach, but I'm shocked that Morris hadn't been fired. But he knows he's a lame duck coach. I mean, he's gone, right? So you got a lame duck coach preparing for this game. I mean, again, all that, I cannot stress enough the advantage for the New Orleans Saints. When Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael were in charge, and they're trying to figure out how to work their key cards to even get in the building, the Saints were notoriously bad off of the bye. If you remember, they had a bye week and played Atlanta, and that was the game where I think the Saints scored like 6 or 9 points. It was like, I think they kicked a bunch of field goals and lost, and it was like, how did we come out of the bye week and have nothing prepared? It was terrible. Because extra time didn't matter for Pete Carmichael. Extra time didn't matter for Dennis Allen. They could have had 6 months to prepare for a game. They didn't have the ability to do it. They didn't have the ability to prepare for a game. All right? I have to believe that Kellen Moore and Brandon Staley are the complete opposite of that. If you give them extra time, I would think that those two can really prepare. All right. Now, Staley's a little different because now he's got to prepare for Kirk Cousins and no Drake London. Not that that really matters. Good problem to have for Staley. But, I mean, this is a big test, or the first test, of what will this coaching staff do with extra time. I say it every week. The Saints got to start strong, right? This is where they really got to start strong. That first 15, first 20, first 10 plays, however they do it, they've prepped those for 2 weeks with one singular goal, and that's beating the Atlanta Falcons. So the first quarter, first half, first drive, first whatever for the Saints has to look mint. Has to look 10 out of 10 mint. And I think if the Saints go up big in this game early, and by big I mean like 14-0, 17-0, whatever, I think the Falcons roll over. I think they're teetering. They may have already got there, but I think they're teetering on just 1-2-3 Cancun. Especially if Kirk Cousins comes in and looks bad. Especially, like I said, especially if this is a rout. I think if the Saints rout the Falcons, I'll go ahead and tell you this. You can go ahead and clip this or whatever. if the Saints rout the Falcons, even if they just beat the Falcons, I think Morris gets fired on Monday. I think this is it. I think this is the last, all right, just we'll see what happens here. But if they lose this game and they lose 6 in a row, I think it'll be, he's gone. He's gone. And the locker room knows that. Okay. So this is incredibly important for the New Orleans Saints. And honestly, that makes me a little nervous. Not because of the game or anything. I think the Saints will win. I think they should win. But just the importance. Because I know what this win can do for the fan base. What this win can do for the players' confidence. What this win can do for Kellen Moore and Brandon Staley. And dare I say, Mickey Loomis and Gail Benson. This is the game that could really swing this whole thing. And not even just long term, but this is the game that could swing the season. To where all of a sudden, Saints are winning games. They're putting stuff together in back-to-back weeks or back-to-back games on the schedule, not back-to-back weeks because of the bye. They're showing they can do the stuff like prepare out of a bye week, things that good coaching staffs can do. They beat an opponent they should beat. All that stuff, if all that's happening, the lens in which you see this season drastically changes, I think. And if you win this game, you are real close to that 5-6 win kind of world. And my, oh me, oh my, what a difference it would be if this team ends up winning 5-6 games at the end of the year. Kellen Moore would look like, build the statue. And the opposite is true. You lose this game, that would be as bad. That would be as bad of a situation as possible. So the pressure is on. Pressure makes diamonds. Got to win this game. You have to win this game. Finish the Falcons. Do what you have to do. I am so nervous for Kellen, for Brandon Staley, for everybody involved with this one. I really am. I'm so nervous for this game. And it's crazy because I shouldn't be nervous. I'm not playing in the game. And it's Tuesday. But when all this news broke yesterday, I first thing I thought was just man, Sunday has now turned into the Super Bowl. Sunday has now turned into the biggest game of the season. And it's not even close. And that's not hyperbole or hyperbole, as some of my friends would say. It doesn't get any bigger than this. We are going to cover the game all week long. It was interesting, the bye week, to see just how it would play out, how it just from a content point of view. Honestly, really didn't change much. It changed my Sunday because I didn't have to make a video after the game or anything. But beyond that, really didn't change too much. So I was curious how that would play out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're prepping. This is the start of the week. It's going to be a lot of content this week. A lot. All right. 20% off the store until Falcons kickoff. I'm doing a merch order in about 30 minutes here. I'm bringing it to the post office. Get in there. Merch, 20% off till kickoff against the Falcons. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. I will see you in the next video. Peace.